Hi, and welcome to this set of lectures, Implementing Object Orientation. That's what we're going to be tackling this week. So I want to start with an acknowledgement of country, where I acknowledge that the Whadjuk Noongar people are the traditional custodians on the land upon which Curtin University's Perth campus resides. And I pay my respect to elders past, present, and those who are emerging, acknowledging the significant contribution to science, engineering, and education. So Comp 1007, our unit learning and outcomes, this is what it's all about. I'm just going through it pretty quickly, but this is everything we do ties back to these. And if you're a 5011 student, everything we do for you ties back to these unit learning outcomes. Our outline for today, or for this set of classes, is as such. So, without further ado, let's get rolling. I want to start off with a little bit of revision, and we're not going to revise months and years, simply last week. Now, how we saw the real world, where we saw that real world in objects, okay? And starting to think that this is where we want to move in a software development perspective towards objects. This is what our world is made up of, objects. And we really want the world we develop, in one sense, in software, to be reflective of the real world. Okay, I say look around, objects are everywhere. I've got my glasses, I've got my pencil, and the list goes on of all the things we have which are objects. And our objects have attributes, every one of them. A pen has color. The color, well, that has a value. And we sometimes mix those two and say, well, the pen, yeah, the color. Okay, the pen has a color. Color is its attribute. The value, I'm going to say in this case, is purple. A book, well, a book, it has a title. And I think we're all familiar with that. And that title has a value. Java programming. All right. Attributes, values, and state. So what are attributes really? Well, according to Farrell, attributes are the characteristics that define an object. I don't think any of us would probably argue with there. The values. So values is generally the data in the attributes. So it's what I've said before. The pen has a color. The color is the attribute, I should say. So yes, the color is an attribute. Color is an attribute. We got that eventually. And then the value of the color, in the case of the example, was purple. And then state. Now, state is the set of all the values in the attributes. And when you think about that, it's how we think already. What's the state of the game? What's the state of the situation? These are things that we ask and we talk about, and what we're really saying is, what are the values in the attributes surrounding whatever it is, okay? And in the examples, I've used things like football matches and football stadiums. What's the state of the stadium? Full, it's at capacity. Okay, so when it comes to object-oriented programming, what we have are these two basic things. An object, if you like, is made up of data, and the data, okay, are the attributes, or the attributes are the data. We have the behavior of the object, which in our case are the methods. Pretty straightforward, I would think. So, about what to manipulate, not how to manipulate, is what we say, which is, I reckon, a really good thing when it comes to object-oriented programming. We're looking at what is it that we want to manipulate, not how are we going to manipulate it. Though we do look at that at some point, okay? And I've said this is object-oriented programming simplified, and I've already gone through that. We've got our blueprints, our plans. This is what we were talking about. We've got blueprints and plans, and now we create from that blueprint, from that plan. We create, and in this case, we've created a house. So, we do this, okay? From what do? We create objects from the plan. In our case, with object-oriented programming, this blueprint, this plan is called a class. And to be able to create an object, we've got to have that, all right? And then once we've got our class, we can then create an object from it. You'll also hear we can then instantiate an object from the class. Fancy word, don't be concerned. A test question would not be, how do you spell instantiate?